Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mr. Go channel. Today we're going to explore how to answer SRQ Question A in Social Study. So, how do you answer it really? In the analysis, this is probably one of the most important part where we understand the issue and later on the extract followed by the answer. We will find out how to analyze the question. Maybe it is a cause question, an effect question, or a solution question. There are three ways that you can be commonly tested. So the first way, they're asking you about the cause of something, then the effect of something, and followed by the solution. They will only ask usually one of the three, or probably there'll be others, but for our video, we will be exploring these three. To answer this question, you will need to have prior knowledge or general knowledge, which you will probably be exposed to given that the number of sources of news that you're exposed to, be it through formal means or informal means. And what Mr. Go would like to recommend is that you read a variety of information. You can read from the mainstream news, we have Straits Times here today. You can read from alternate news such as Mothership. You can read from overseas news such as BBC, Economist. Basically, read from a variety of sources to understand and have a deeper appreciation of the issues that are surrounding Singapore. To answer it, we are very familiar with this structure. We are talking about point, evidence, explanation, followed by the link. The steps to answer SRQA. So we'll start with the analysis followed by the answer. So analysis consists of two parts of the issue and the extract. Let's take a look. This is a typical question that you will face. So we'll see a number of elements there which we will analyze them. So question 2 refers to the question number. It does not change based on the issue. So it is fixed. And this is question 2 which you need to write down, otherwise your teacher will give you a headache. Next one will be the issue, which is exploring citizenship and governance. That will be the issue that is, the following extract will be on this issue. Next, we have the instruction. So now we take a look at extract 1, and usually it will be a paragraph or some lines of words before they give you either a picture or maybe just more words. In this case, there are few words. The more important part will be the table. So let's take a look. While more attention of late have been focused on the inflow of foreigners into Singapore, another concern for the government is issue of Singaporeans living overseas. As of 2014, 212,200 Singaporeans were living overseas compared to 157,800 in 2004. This is the table that is given to us from 2004 all the way to 2015. When you see the numbers steadily increase. What we are really interested is not really about the absolute number. What we're really interested is about the trend of increasing number of Singaporeans. Is it increasing at a faster rate, consistent, proportional rate, or we're talking about a sudden steep increase? We are not really sure, so we need to take a look at the information. The information that is given to us is on the left side where we talk about 2014. There is a huge number of 212,200 Singaporeans living overseas compared to 157,000. The difference is around 60 plus thousand. So that is the main difference that is going on. And we're talking about more Singaporeans living, so probably that will be the trend that we are looking at. When we're looking at a table, we are usually analyzing the trend or the comparison. We are not looking at specifically at the absolute number. In the question, they actually talk about the trend. So this is a very big clue given to you. In certain questions, they do not even give you what they want you to see. If you look at the word trend, they're asking you about slowing down. They tell you the trend. About 300 more Singaporeans choosing to work and live overseas in 2015 as compared to 2014. So they're talking about 2015, less people wanted to choose to work or live overseas. Then they are implying that more Singaporeans are actually moving back to Singapore and decide to stay permanently in Singapore. So the question is why? So which is the reason? So if you are an express student, you will have to come up with 2 reasons to score the maximum of 7 marks. And if you are NA students, you will be only answering 1 reason, and that will give you the full mark. The number of ways that they can actually ask you start from cause, effects, and solution. And in this case, they're asking for the reason, which is the cause. So if they're asking for effect, they were talking about impacts, they're talking about solution, they're talking about strategies. So before we start, we do not ever copy anything from the extract or the question, as you see quite a number of lines of words there, which you should never ever copy, because if you do, you will be kindly and generously rewarded with 0 mark. To answer SRQ question A, we are moving on to the answer, where we talk about the answering structure, which is PEEL, and we start to analyze whether it's a cause, effect, association, and we are talking about a cause in this question here. So let's take a look. So the point, one reason for Singaporeans to return to Singapore may be the efforts made by the government to woo Singaporeans back to the shores. So the efforts made by the government would be the point. When we analyze the answer in terms of point, we're looking for keywords to write. One reason, be asking for a reason, you use back the same keyword, reason, and Singaporeans to return to Singapore, and that will be the keywords as well. And the one in blue will be the points. You can actually write it in 2 lines, but that's not ideal because you're wasting time. Do learn simplicity. Next, we look at the evidence. We'll talk about the global demand of talents, and they gradually increase its effort to bring back Singaporeans back, because you can see long-term positive impact of talented and experienced Singaporeans working here rather than overseas. And we're talking about government efforts, right? So where does it come from? From government agency, obviously. So they make an effort to connect. How? Through social media platforms or basically events such as Singapore Day. There's such days, but they are only celebrated overseas. This allows Singaporeans to be emotionally connected. So we are looking for specific evidence or specific examples where you will provide based on your prior knowledge, notes given by a teacher, or from news itself. Next, when we go on to explanation, basically we have come up with a point, we've given the evidence, we're looking how to explain this leading to Singaporeans coming back to Singapore. There is this kind of concept link which is important in your explanation. What do I mean by concept link? Concept link is a way of connecting your ideas together so that it flows logically and coherently. You will be ultimately awarded points for explanation. So in this case, we are talking about how to make sure that government efforts link all the way back to Singaporeans coming back to the Singapore shore. Just now we talked about emotional connection, and this is linked to the sense of value. So they feel value in their own country because the government has not forgotten about them. Why did they not forgotten? Because they actually celebrate Singapore Day. They actually give them perhaps jobs, so they'll be influenced to return. So there are 2 different groups here. There are groups that wanted to come back. There are groups that do not feel that Singapore value their talents, their abilities. So those who are undecided, they can be influenced to return. But those who are adamant, maybe they are not really coming back anyway. So those that are undecided, how do we bring them back? They have connections to the different government agencies. They can come back and do research and development, which is a connection here, and this will open up more door to them. So the connection goes like this. Well, first we have an emotional connected, followed by a sense of value. When they are emotionally connected to Singapore, they are not forgotten because they feel value because their government did not forget about them. And this allows for a certain group, which is the undecided group, to be influenced to return. And what do they do when they return? Because they just can't come back and do nothing, right? If they come back, they will have to do perhaps research and development, and this may open up more doors for them to thrive in Singapore. Now, at the last point, right, they are already back in Singapore, being employed in the research and development sector, and possibly having a very positive and bright future career. You have really explained how they are back in Singapore, and this is the part where you link it back to the question. Ultimately, we are talking about government efforts, and the keywords you need to rephrase them for when they return to Singapore is moving back to Singapore. So we are linking back to government efforts, and we're linking back to the idea of moving back to Singapore. So link essentially is like your point, but it's a rephrase so that you are very clear that you have answered them. Is it necessary? Not really, but it will be very good to have it. Up to this point, if you manage to write such a paragraph, you'll be awarded 6 marks if you are in Express, and if you are in NA, they only ask for 1 reason, you'll be awarded 7 marks. And that's the end of how to answer SRQ question A. Thank you and bye-bye.